Oh boy, do we have a fun, frustrating, sad, funny, infuriating video to go over today as the accursed characters were added to the Intel store yesterday when they clearly weren't supposed to. And what ensued was like a piranha feeding frenzy. People were trying to get those shards as quickly as possible. Whether that was a good idea or not, we'll talk about that. Scopely took some steps. We're going to talk about that, if they were the right steps. Who are the big winners and the big losers of this whole situation? And wouldn't you know it, most of us are going to come out on the losing end of this one. All right, so here was the issue. We are aware there was an issue with the 3 new Occurrence members showing in the Intel store. We have removed these from the store and are going to evaluate the next steps we will need to take. We will give an update later today on the resolution of this issue. Notice the time of this post. This was at 5:53. For me, 5 p.m. is the store reset, which means that there was probably at least 45 minutes at which players had access to the accursed members in the Intel store prior to their spender release, which is crazy, absolutely crazy. I got a lot of thoughts on if it was actually worth buying them. We'll get into that. But also during this 45 minutes, I think they tried to take the accursed members out, but they screwed up. And instead of taking the accursed members out, they just reset the stores. And so what that ended up doing is it refreshed people's core cost to refresh the stores. Which is okay, so you know how it's 50 for the first one, 50 for the second one, then it jumps into 100? So people did that, and then they reset the stores, so people went in and did it again. So it's super hard to know how much cores were spent in total during this time, which is going to have big implications on the Odin leaderboard, which is going to be the main focus of today's video. All right. Here's what it looked like. They were here in the store. Satana is right up here above. They cost the exact same as all the other characters. This is Exhibit A. Exhibit B, we know that at least one person got Satana up to 80 shards. And this person did it right, okay? We know Satana is going to be the last character added. How do we know? Well, we also know that they put the characters in the Intel store in the order they're released. So Hellverin's going to be the first character released. We know that through data mines, then Hood, and then Satana. This makes sense because it's also in the order of the portraits, which is typically what they do when they give us those silhouette portraits. So this person definitely did it right, but we don't know how much they actually reset. We know that it costs 20 resets to get the unlock. So this person did at least 16, but we don't know if they did 8 and then it refreshed and then another 8, because the difference there is thousands and thousands and thousands of cores spent. So unless this person tells us, oh, actually I spent this much cores, we wouldn't know the full extent of what happened here. The point is, oh, actually we can see behind, it's at 2,400. Yeah, it's at 2,400. So there was a lot of cores spent here. There was a lot of cores spent in this situation. We have other players. This person reset it 10 times, was able to get 50 shards on all of them, fast tracking his unlock to these characters. And you know what? Let me talk about this for a second, because I thought this was hilarious when I saw people recommending going in and buying the characters with your intel, and people that don't have Professor X yet were dropping 250,000 intel trying to get a bunch of the character shards here. It's what are you doing? Don't complain that you don't get enough gear tier 20 when you're doing that. The Accursed team, as we saw in the Crucible Content Creator Tournament, unless they get buffed, they are super vulnerable just as speed stat teams. Just Quasar, who we have at 4 red star right now, would demolish a 3 red star Accursed team. Trying to fast track your way to that team feels like such a horrendous use of your intel, unless you already have Professor X unlocked, unless you don't care about getting more gear tier 20. It blows my mind how crazy people went over this. I understand a little bit about okay, well, there's probably going to be another pocket dimension for these guys. They're going to be needed for a Quasar Scourge a month from now, after we probably already have all their free-to-play unlocks. What else can they be used for? Events along the way, but you're still going to need them at 5, 6, or 7 stars, what they've been doing for event input. So even if you get 50 shards now, you're still going to have to buy the other 260 shards to secure the 5-star. I get the concept people were doing, but it seems so short-sighted. I was telling people, oh, don't do this. And because I told people that, I might have screwed people over. Because Scopely did something really stupid. I should have probably foreseen they were going to do something really stupid. And this was that really stupid thing. Following our previous communication, we have thoroughly reviewed the data and will be taking the following actions for all affected players. You didn't review all the data, let me tell you that. All shards acquired for Helverine, Satana, and the Hood will be removed from all players. I think this was just not the right thing to do. I think you just leave them with these character shards, and what you do is you add the character shards back to the Intel store the second those offers for those characters go live. Because at the end of the day, the players who took part in this, they did use their cores, right? They did use their cores. So that you can't say they have a super advantage unless somebody actually unlocked one of the characters. And in that case, you roll them back until the point where they didn't unlock it and you give them their cores back. But maybe you wait until the end of the Odin leaderboard event. As we're going to talk about, like it's just everything was so short-sighted. Everything was so short-sighted here. A full refund of the intel and a full refund of power cores spent during acquiring these character shards. We'll be sending all players compensation of 100,000 intel and 1,000 power cores. Hey, that's great. That's good. Blank compensation is something we haven't gotten along in a long time, and this is a good thing. However, when you refunded these cores, it had a bad effect on the ride of the All-Father Leaderboard event, because there is a spend power core option here. Now, on the surface, this doesn't look like it should be that crazy, right? Because the power cores are only worth 1 point. And one offer, like one $30 offer is, I think, worth 32,000 points. But every little bit is counting here. If I go and find myself, before this store thing happened, I was actually sitting at 2,200, not 2,465, about to get kicked out of the rank 2,500. And I know this is true for a lot of people. That individual we just saw with 80 Satana shards at a refresh cost of 2,400, you bet they probably spent around 10,000 cores. And that's just one person. We don't know if somebody did even more, right? So if we scroll up, we'll see that I'm at 675. Let's go all the way up to wherever I can reach. 675. So more than 100 ranking difference is 1,000 cores. So if somebody came in and dropped 2,000 cores and got it back, did they just jump up 200 positions in the Odin leaderboard? That's how tight this leaderboard is. This is a huge issue and invalidates this Odin leaderboard and what people have spent money on to this insane degree. I do not understand how this was an oversight on their part. Why don't they ask people who are actually playing the game and know what's going on with the game before they make these kind of decisions? This is actually a huge issue for any sort of person who has spent on this leaderboard, or any person who had cores stocked up before that decided to dump them on this leaderboard. This is bad. This is really, really, really bad. Listen, all they needed to do was take the characters out of the Intel store, make sure nobody has that character unlocked. Don't give them their cores back until after the Odin leaderboard event is finished, and then you can give it back to them. Because they would have benefit from it. It's like, hey, like, this was an exploit. Like, what they actually did was they incentivized exploit early and exploit often. Because this is literally the most competitive leaderboard. Not just because it's diamonds for Odin, but because it's that mystical gear that people are like, oh, this will get me Professor X unlocked. So people went crazy on it. And people went crazy on the cores because of this. It's just like, why are you incentivizing exploit early and exploit often? It's so silly. It's just so silly. They should have done. Let's get back to that. They should have taken the characters out of the Intel store immediately. I don't know why it took 45 minutes. That's crazy. It was reported to them within minutes, okay? Take them out of the Intel store. Make sure nobody has the character unlocked. Note down what kind of cores you got to give back if anybody did unlock the characters. And then when the characters come out with their offers, put them right back in the Intel store. At the end of the day, there does not seem to be a reason to rush the Accursed team. Are they going to be a good Crucible team? Yes. Barring any sort of buffs, are they going to flip the Crucible meta on its head and just like the haves have-nots is just get dumpstered or dumpster on? I don't think so. On defense, this team, even if you put Mephisto with them, they're gonna get absolutely beat up by your characters that have diamonds. We saw in the playtest, by the way, that when they had 7 red stars and all the enemies facing them had 7 red stars, as long as you had a speed set higher than them and you went first, and if they had a Mephisto, you countered it with a null or something like that, then you would just blow them up before they got a turn. And it's not that they're a bad team. It's that they have a niche weakness that you can feed into if you have your characters the right way. So were they going to be this stopgap in Crucible defense? No. Are they going to be the best in Crucible offense? I think they're going to have some uses. Mine are definitely going to be put on offense. But are they going to dumpster Crucible in a way like that too? No, not at 3 stars. For the command center events, are you all of a sudden going to be giving out the premium rewards for people that have the characters unlocked at 3 stars? Be real. No, you're not. You're waiting until 5, 6, or 7. I don't see why they needed to do what they did here. It was like a gut reaction. It felt like it was a panicked reaction. They didn't take into account the whole scope of the game. And now the Odin leaderboards are ducked, man. They're ducked up, okay? Quack, quack, motherfucker. They're ducked up. I don't know why I swore after censoring myself, but we did. It's so funny and frustrating how silly it is. And now, as a content creator that talks to people, and it was a stupid thing to do if you don't have Professor X, to core the store to get accursed characters when you were never going to core enough to unlock them anyway. You didn't have 250,000 intel ready to unlock a single character anyway. So it was like really bad advice, but because of the decisions they made, it became like, oh yeah, that was a no-brainer to do that. So is that what we have to suggest from now on? There's so much downstream effects to how poor of a decision this was to be made. They need to get somebody who's like hyper engaged and in love with the game to weigh in on these kind of conversations. And maybe there was a better solution. Maybe they could have rolled all the shards back, but told people, we're only giving you your cores back after the Odin leaderboard event, okay? Because you did spend them, so you're not gonna get to use those during this time frame. You'll get them back after the leaderboard, so you can't double dip. Like, it's so silly. It is such a silly thing they did. Anyway, I don't want to talk about it anymore because I'm just gonna lose. I'm gonna blow gasket here. All right, guys. Let me know what you think about the situation. What would you have done if you were in their place? What do you think they'll do, if anything, to rectify the Odin leaderboard situation now? Because it is a situation. I know, guys, that it's 1 core per point, or 1 point per core. I 100% get it. But you can see just how tight these brackets are. This is literally 1,000. Okay, well, now it's jumped up. This is literally, where am I? This is literally 3,000 points to go up. And you can see how fast it's moving now too. How can I know that the purchases I made on this leaderboard, the decisions I made with my cores, how can I know that they were not illegitimately affected by this issue? I can't. And so I can't have faith in the integrity of what is essentially an auction. And that's not okay. All right, guys, I hope you have a good day. I hope you enjoyed this video for whatever purpose. Maybe you got a laugh out of it, a chuckle. Exploit early, exploit often. That's the new saying. I guess we got to jump on that bandwagon. Jesus fuck.